Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Skolside back again with our fourth podcast. We do these every Sunday. Last weekend, we talked about the offense. Now, in this, we are going to be talking about the defense, going over every position group, talking about certain things like Don Capers coming in, players we think who need to step up. We're going to be going over every position group. And, yeah, let's get right into this. Mike and Jim, see what's up.
What's up, Vikings fans? Hope you guys are having a good Memorial Day weekend and ready to talk some defense.
What's up, Vikings fans? Let's get into it with Coach Zimmer. Coach Zimmer and his awesome defense. Best defensive coach ever.
Yeah, I like to compare Zim to Andy Reid of defense. It's just he needs his ring to validate himself. All right, yeah, I feel like we got to start with the cornerback room in this upcoming year since they were obviously the weak spot last year of the entire team. Totally different. We literally got a whole new group in there. Got rid of Trey Waynes, Mack. They both went to Cincy. Rhodes obviously went to the Colts, and he was terrible last year. Now we're bringing in Dantzler and Gladney, and then Mike Hughes, Holton Hill, guys like Chris Boyd to fill in. Honestly, from the cornerback group, I feel like it's a lot of it's going to be boom or bust. We got a lot of young guys that need to step up right away. And I'm hoping Mike Hughes can step up. It's a lot of just speculation as of now.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential with this cornerback group. But like you said, there is some ifs, with, rookies coming in. You can't really rely on the rookies as much. I think there's some promise there with Cam Dantzler and Jeff Gladney. They're going to get a lot of reps, so they're going to have to come out. Hopefully they're really good. But you can't really rely on him. So Mike Hughes got to take that next step forward. He's got to be the guy in the room. We saw a lot last year, him getting picked on. So he's got to make a lot of improvements. And if he can be good, and then you got Holton Hill, those guys, they can step up. There's some potential to be pretty good, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I think there's still some question marks, but we'll see.
Yeah, legitimate concerns with the cornerback group. And I really like Gladney and Dantzler and their potential. It's just rookies in their first year. That will be the biggest thing is if they can contribute right away. And obviously they're going to have to play some snaps. But like I said a couple episodes ago, Holton Hill and Mike Hughes, really, it's got to be their coming out party this year. Mike Hughes is a first-round pick, and this is his third season. This is a huge year for him. And then I still think they add maybe one of those veteran cornerbacks in the free agent market just to come in just in case. But guys like Chris Boyd, who, showed a little bit of potential last year, they could be in play as well. So concerns with this group just because they're so young and not a lot of production, obviously, with the rookies and obviously with Hill and Hughes. But can it get worse than last year? Last year wasn't great either. So that's the one thing that makes you feel good is that we got different guys. Because it can't get that much worse than last year. Rhodes is like one of the worst rated corners.
Yeah. I totally agree with what both of you guys said. The only thing about the cornerback room is that, they don't need to be great. They don't need to be the Legion of Boom. Because, with what we got up in the front seven and with the two safeties, they just need to be serviceable. And I feel like with two first-rounders and Hughes and Gladney and then Dantzler and Holton Hill filling, they should be able to do that. And a lot of this is going to be on Zimmer with scheme and, putting these guys in position to make plays, really. And also I want to see if Hughes, full offseason without the ACL bothering him, full offseason to develop. I think that should be good for him. The cornerback, it's a lot of speculation. We really don't know. If Gladney plays like Lattimore did for the Saints in his first year, then we're talking about something really getting going now. But then again, if he takes a couple years to develop like Hughes, then it's just going to be teams going to pick on him. Now, one thing I want to talk about is week 1 and then week 2, these corners are going to be tested with Devontae Adams and Rodgers, of course. And then also Phillip Rivers and they got that Pittman guy, and then they also got T.Y. Hilton. They're going to be tested because Rodgers and Rivers like to throw the ball, obviously. It's what they do. So, I feel like we'll have a pretty good look at what we got in the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, for sure. I think this is what Zimmer's known for, right? Developing cornerbacks and developing defensive players. So this is what he's supposed to be doing. So we'll see if he can develop these guys. The biggest worry is there's no really off-season program this year, so it's going to be another challenge in itself. So I kind of agree with Jim. they should probably bring in a veteran guy just to kind of create some more depth for sure and help these younger guys out. Because there's not going to be a ton of time. They'll probably just go right to training camp, for, just to get the reps. So we'll see. But, yeah, they're going to be tested right away. So hopefully they can start off fast.
Yeah. Hopefully having the veteran safeties and Smith, and obviously now we got Harris for the year, and I know we'll talk about safeties coming up, but hopefully having those two guys in the back end, that will definitely help as well, hopefully.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move into the back end. Let's move to the safety position. Honestly, I think the best tandem in the NFL, of course, based off last year, Anthony Harris leading league in picks and us knowing just what Harrison Smith represents. Harrison last year, I feel like he had a pretty good year. I feel like it was just a solid year. He didn't really, pop out like I guess Kendricks and Daniil did, but he was just solid. I feel like he's the third best player in the defense last year. We kind of know what Harrison Smith's about. I wish they would use him blitzing a little more than they did last year. And also I felt like a couple times last year when Rhodes and Smith, they would be getting into it over miscommunications. So I'm hoping Smith can I know he's a quiet dude, but he needs to take a leadership role in that secondary. He has to with how young the DBs are. And he needs to be a leader and needs to take another step forward this year. Hopefully he does. Thoughts on Anthony Harris? I don't like paying two safeties, so I don't think they should pay him. But he was fantastic last year. Just a ball hawk, and he's a very good second safety to Harrison, better than Zendejo. So
it's overall a solid group. The biggest worry you think with the safety position is just regression, especially from Harrison. But he's getting up there in age, so and there has been times where he has gotten lost in coverage. You've seen it, but. He's good up in the line of scrimmage, helping support the run, and he's actually like you mentioned, they should bring him on blitzes more. He's really good at that, and he also does. You don't really talk about it a lot, but he does come up with some big picks. He's had some big picks throughout his career, and Anthony Harris as well. I don't think he's going to have the 7 interceptions like he did last year. That's some of it's just luck, but I do like him, and I think he was great in coverage. He had really good instincts, and he was really quick to the ball, which is good to see. So hopefully he can kind of keep that up next year, because I don't think the interception going to be there, but just him being great in coverage, I think will help a lot. And then, like you said, they got to be leaders. They're the older guys in the secondary room, so they got to help these guys out and teach them. And we'll see.
Yeah, and the thing with Harrison Smith is, he might not have made the biggest of plays the past couple of years, like he did when he was kind of in his prime, I guess. I don't think he's out of his prime, but he's usually in the right position. And whenever they get in trouble, or when things are going wrong, what Zimmer usually does, though, he'll usually plant them right in the box. And I wish he'd do with them more. And what you said, Pez, rush him at the quarterback. A lot of good Viking plays on defense you could see over the past couple of years. A lot of them have come from Harrison Smith going after the quarterback on the safety blitz. And Zimmer will put him in the box, like I said, when things start kind of going wrong and ask him to make a play. I wish he'd do that more, especially with Harris now in the back end, with someone they can trust. It's not, Zendejo or whoever else they've tried back there. But, it's a good group. Yeah, Harris is it's kind of a similar situation to Cook. You really like the guy and you really like what he's done, but do you want to pay that position? So that's up to them. I'm assuming, they're already he's an $11 million cap hit this year. Are they just gonna let him play on the cap hit, or are they gonna be able to agree to a long-term deal? We'll see if they're able to do that. They have decent cap space, but like what you said, Pat, you just probably don't want to pay that much money to two safeties.
Yeah, no, definitely. One of the things with Harrison Smith, I feel like he's just a natural playmaker. I feel like he's just a football player, and I feel like Zimmer, he should trust Anthony Harris more. That let Harrison Smith come in. The amount of times we've seen him make a tackle in the backfield for a 2-yard loss or something on a pitch play or a stretch play from the other offense. He's great when it comes to stuff like that. And I guess that stuff like a tackle for loss is not that noticeable, but they make incredible difference in 2nd and long compared to 2nd and 6, and he makes those type of plays. I wish they would just let him be Harrison Smith and let him go crazy and let Anthony Harris deal with over the top and let the DBs and almost run Harrison Smith as a linebacker, because I feel like that's when he's at his best, is when he's just playing football and not thinking too much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, big agree. The one thing I will mention though is I think depth's a concern here. If one of these guys goes down, they don't really have any veterans behind them. I know they drafted a kid from Michigan, Jordan Metella.
That's not a concern then. He's fine. Kid from Michigan's a good player.
You can't trust anyone from Michigan. So, but I think it's gonna be if Harrison or Anthony Harris go down, there will be some concern for sure. So I mean, we'll see. Hopefully those guys don't get hurt.
Yeah, I heard a couple things about Chris Boyd going to safety, but we'll see if that.
There's another guy they drafted too.
Yeah,
I forget his name that could play safety besides the guy.
Harrison Hand.
Yeah, that guy.
From Temple. Yeah, they talked about him moving to safety. That would probably be the move then. They got to have some depth, so I bet you he'll go to safety. But yeah, there's definitely concern there, especially with younger guys.
I mean, overall, the safety group should be solid next year. Harrison Smith, if he does even take a slight step back, you still got two. They have two really good safeties. Something that was floating around was like Anthony Harris and like a second and a third for Jamal Adams or something like that. And I'm like, I don't know if that's like realistic. I don't know if the Vikings would take Jamal and Harrison Smith. That's a lot of cap hit just for two safeties, but it would be fun. I don't think it will happen at all, though.
Well, he's a good player, but that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money for both.
It's a lot to give up.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move into the linebackers. I feel like this is it's an interesting group. All right. Start with the positive. Eric Kendricks. He's a beast. He's all pro. Great phenomenal in the run, phenomenal in the pass. Doesn't really get sacks, but that's not really his game. Anthony Barr, he's so overpaid it hurts. He just really never really just took that jump. Like his rookie year, I was like, dude, this dude's gonna be a monster. We all even the first 2 years, we're like, all right, we have our linebacker, like we have our tandem. But now it just feels like it's an Eric Kendricks one-man show with Gideon, Wilson, and Barr. And I hate throwing Barr into the Gideon and Wilson group of the linebacker. But, it's true. He needs to step up this year. And this linebacker core, if Kendricks, if he goes down, we might have the worst linebacking core in the NFL, which is terrifying. So, I don't know. Kendricks is a beast. Barr. Wilson, I think, is actually solid. I think, for being undrafted, he could actually just keep – he's progressed every single year. I see a little potential in him. Hopefully Barr snaps out of this and gets back to who he is. But overall, Kendricks, I love him. So that's the only positive I got to say.
Yeah, agree with the Eric Kendricks. I thought he actually had a phenomenal year last year, just in the run. But also I think he took a huge step forward in coverage. You could tell, he had so many times where he was just right on running backs, tight ends, just right on them. I think he took a huge step forward. But yeah, Anthony Barr, looking at the cap hits right now, the 4th highest from the Vikings, it kind of hurts looking at that because he just has never really put up to his potential. I would like to see him, I would like to see Zimmer use him to his strengths though, more to come off the edge, just rush the passer, maybe put him over Danielle Hunter in some spots, just let him get, because he is fast, he's athletic, he's strong, he's big, he's kind of like that, he's perfect, like a linebacker, size body. So, but overall, Eric Wilson's serviceable. I'm not too worried about this linebacker group. He just Bart somehow he's got to play up to his potential and take that next step. Hopefully, we can see it this year.
Yeah, Eric Kendricks, and the play that sticks out with me last year is when they're up by 4 in Dallas on that 4th down, and Elliott comes out of the backfield, and Kendricks is able to stay with him, and he knocks a pass away. And he made a couple of different plays like that, and he was awesome last year. And hopefully there's not any little regression, but if you think about it, he's in the prime of his career. He's been in the league now for this will be his 5th year, I think. Or maybe 6th, but he came in 2015, I think. But this is the prime of his career. I like Wilson, and everyone likes that draft pick. Hopefully, Troy Dye pans out. He could be a player that contributes next year, whatever they want him to do. I like that depth there with those two guys. Ben Gideon. No one talks about poor Ben Gideon from Michigan and the linebacking crew. That's kind of disrespectful. You know, he's really only used in like complete running situations. I understand that. You know, according to Mike Zimmer, he's a very good football. Anytime anyone asks him a question about Ben Gideon, it's not about what he does. It's the answer is he's a very good football player. That's what Zimmer said. So that means he probably can play the run well. You know, so Anthony Barr, you know, it's such an interesting situation. It's the reason Dom Capers is here. It has to be because Anthony Barr in 2019 went from saying, I want to be a pass rusher, signing to send all that money with the Jets. And then all of a sudden, in a day, you know, overnight, decided he was going to be an outside linebacker for the Jets, rushing the passer. Like, that's what he was signed to be. All of a sudden, I don't know if Zimmer got on the phone with him or whatever, you know, convinced him to come back for that awesome cap that we all love. And, you know, he's playing a traditional linebacker. So whatever Dom Capers can do with Anthony Barr this year to actually have him play to his strengths, that would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad when I rip on Barr because he's a freak athlete. He's 6'5", fast, strong. I'm hoping it's not him just being like – I feel like it's him like knowing what he can do and that who he can be, and he's just not giving it his all when he's playing like a traditional linebacker. I mean, like Mike, you said, like if he lines him up over Daniil, I mean, that is a pretty tough cover for the tackle. I mean, that would be pretty tough. I mean, Daniil, in a one-on-one, I'm taking Daniil almost every time. And then if Barr has a one-on-one with a running back or something like that, I mean, that's pretty – I mean, I'll take my odds. Yeah. I just hope they use him like that more. And hopefully Don Capers bring something new to this defense because we've been seeing the same defense for a while. And also, with the double-A gap, I feel like we kind of got rid of that last year. I feel like they didn't really go to the Zimmer double-A gap blitz that we had in 2017.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get back to something like that. But, I mean, linebacker core, Mike, like you said, it's solid. I mean, there's not much to complain about.
No, yeah. I mean, and just, like, lining up Barr over Hunter, you know, kind of creates confusion for the offensive line, too. So just kind of getting creative in those ways, you know, just using his strengths more. Because he does get lost in coverage. You've seen how he's flat-footed at times. You know, he can't even, you know, stay with tight ends, you know, because he's just sitting there flat-footed. So just using him to his strengths, I think, will be huge for him.
Yeah. Like Zimmer knows best. That's all I'll say.
Defensive guru.
Zimmer knows.
Yeah. Ball. All right, well, let's move on to the boys in the trenches. I actually love this group. I think it's going to be a ton of fun to watch this year just because we have a ton of bodies, I feel like, that are, like, new, but we also have, like, of course, Daniil and Ifedi that have been there, and then Weatherly, for some reason, is still on the team. But, or who?
He's gone.
No,
Shamar
Stephen. That's what I'm thinking. Stephen still has a contract. Good. Yeah. But, anyways, like I was saying, Daniil, fantastic. I mean, he's I'm still waiting for him to hit his peak. It's just every single year he just gets a little better. I mean, Daniil, Defensive Player of the Year potential in him. I'm hoping. I mean, if the Vikings are going to get one player to win Defensive Player of the Year, it's either going to be him or Kendricks. I think the media would lean towards Daniil since he's more like flashy and it's like the sacks and all that. Yeah. But adding Michael Pearce, really excited about that. Hopefully we can get prime Linval back and Michael Pearce. Ifedi stepping up would be huge if he could keep developing. And then guys like DJ Wonham, James Lynch. I mean, I feel like we drafted 8 defensive linemen. And Andre Patterson, he's probably having a day right now telling these kids how to get better. And he's a great coach. Defensive line, I feel like, is honestly going to be the best group this year, even better than the safeties. So that's what I think. I have no worries about the D-line.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited about this group as well. Just overall, a lot of depth here, which I like to see. Yeah. You know, I think the key is going to be, you know, Denebo, you know, take as many reps as, you know, he's going to get a lot more reps this year. Can he be that guy who gets all those reps, or are you going to still be more of that situational guy, you know, like he was last year, which he was so good at, you know, making an impact every time he came in. So we'll see how that goes. I really like him. I'm excited to see him get more reps. And then I think Pearce is going to be huge, you know, just interior defensive line, obviously with a struggle last year for the Vikings. So can he be, you know, take that next step and help with that interior D-line, that push, you know, just stopping the run so the, you know, those running backs are not getting those 4 or 5 yard gashes at a time. And then you got the young guys, like you said, James Lynch, DJ Wonham. Those guys will probably, be situational guys, but, there's a lot of potential with this group, a lot of upside. So, yeah, I'm excited. Daniil's Daniil, he'll get his, sacks. He's 26, he's still in his prime, which is awesome. So, I'm excited for this group too.
I think this will be the most, I think this will, besides, I know the cornerback group will be interesting, but this group is going to be really interesting to watch if there's a training camp and see how it all pans out, because, they got Wonham in the 4th round, and, you assume that, I know he's pretty raw, but you got to assume that he'll get some playing time. They were pretty high on him. Adenebo's taken over the starting position. Michael Pearce is a really nice player, and I like the pickup. He's actually just a special shout out thing. He's done a great job interacting with fans on Twitter.
Yeah, he's great.
Which is really
he's
cool.
Great with it.
Looking at some of his stats, he's kind of a run stuffer. I am a little bit concerned with his pass rushing. If you can create that interior pressure. Yeah. But guys like James Lynch is a big one, and then another guy that I think people at Armin Watts was a guy that actually got decent playing time last year. That's a guy that might be in a lot of pass rushing situations and might be playing, much more overall. Because he did have decent, based on what people have looked at the film, he did have some decent, decent plays last year. So he was the one that tipped the ball on that Anthony Harris touchdown in Seattle, where Russell Wilson stupidly tipped it to Anthony Harris. But Armin Watts, that's a guy I'm pretty interested in. See if he can come and create that pressure in interior, as with James Lynch, because that guy led in he was defensive player of the year. He was a pass rushing guru. So Daniil Hunter will be fine. It will just be interesting to see how they're able to play these guys, and maybe rotating them will continue to be a good thing.
Yeah. The one thing that actually there's probably only one concern is losing Everson. I mean, of course, on the field, that hurts, but also in the locker room, I feel like Everson was a real glue guy when it came to pregame. I know he had that meltdown in 2018, but besides that, I mean, he's the heart and soul, and I'm hoping Daniil has that in his personality where he can step into a role like that, be the motivator. But then again, Everson hasn't been signed yet. I mean, if we bring him back for a really cheap deal, I mean, this D-line would be so deep. Everson would have a chance to rest during the regular season a lot more, be ready to go during the playoffs. And also, I want to see if we go back to the putting Daniil and if it's Ifedi or Everson at the D tackle spot, have them rush from inside, because that was great to see in the Saints game. It totally threw them off. And the Saints have good guards. I mean, it's not like they have that Wolford guy, and we were getting through that every time, just switching it up. I mean, D-line, like you said, Jimmy, it's going to be really fun to watch this year. Just see what they do and just see it. I mean, they should combine a ton of. I mean, no way we're just going to run 3 or 4 of the same guys.
No. There's going to be a combination of guys out there. And I'm glad you brought up Everton. That's still a developing situation, because I don't think Seattle. I heard Seattle was going to be his biggest suitor, and I don't think that's happening. I don't think if they're not going to pay Clowney whatever that he wanted. I know Griffin's a little cheaper, but if they're not paying Clowney money, so they're gonna go spend $10 million on Everson Griffin, and I like Griffin, besides his, 4 offsides of games that come at crucial times, that can get to you a little bit. But you're right, Griffin was, I make a joke about his offsides, but he was important in the locker room, and when he did have that meltdown, and it was really good to see him overcome that. Mm-hmm. That was the week where they played the Bills. And obviously Griffin's mental health is much more important than a game of football. But that was one of the worst displays of football I've ever seen in my life, that first half against the Bills. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but it seems like he was a pretty important guy on this team. If they were able to bring him back, that's great. It's not like Adenebo's not going to get snaps, so it's probably better for Griffin at this point in his career that he does get rotation, because at the end of last year, besides that Saints game, he did start to taper off a little bit. I mean, he's getting up in there in age. He's been in the league for 10 years now.
Yeah.
I'm hoping I'm hoping we bring him back just for the locker room, and honestly, if he goes somewhere for $10 million for a 1-year deal, he's going to be expected to play 90% of snaps, and I don't know if he could live up to that at this point. I mean, if he could play on mainly third downs, and just pin his ears back and get to the quarterback, I feel like that's perfect for him because then he'll have all his energy. And then if you have Everson and Daniil, I mean, we saw it last year; it's pretty deadly. And then with Michael Pearce and also James Lynch, I know Vikings have not gotten a lot of sacks from interior. He had 13.5 sacks, and I think majority came from the interior last year.
Yeah.
Which is, which, I mean, if he could translate that, I mean, quarterbacks would be having a really tough time. But then again, it all just, I mean, if the corners let the D ends get to the quarterback, they just need to hold up for just a little bit, and then we should be good.
Interior pressure is so key. I mean, they get none from Shamar Stephen. They just don't get any interior pressure from Shamar Stephen. And even with that last year, they still got, even with Stephen and Joseph in the middle at times, they still got decent pressure on the quarterback. It was just all from the end. And just think that they were able to get a little push inside.
I was gonna say they missed Sheldon Richardson actually helped a lot in that area. He wasn't great against the run, but he was actually really good getting interior pressure, and he did cause a lot of havoc, when he was with the Vikings. So they kind of miss a guy like that. So if they can, James Lynch come in and do that, and then, I doubt Shamar Stephen will ever do it, but if he could, bounce back, you never know. But, they need a guy like that to come in and create some havoc inside, and, we'll see.
Yeah. All right, well, let's just give last final comments overall on what we think the defense is going to be like. I feel like it's a lot. I feel like it's got to be good. I mean, there's just too much talent for this defense not to produce. I mean, it's got to be better than last year, I feel like. Yeah, a lot of people who don't really know a lot about the Vikings will say, oh, we lost Everson, we lost Rowe, you guys lost a ton of guys. But, we're bringing in a ton of guys who know how to play football. I mean, we're bringing in a ton of stuff. I mean, I feel like that Michael Pearce signing is one of the most under-the-radar signings of the entire offseason, and it could be week 3 when we play the Titans and he holds Derrick Henry to a bad game. We'll be thinking, damn, thank God we got him. I mean, I feel like it would float around the top 10. I don't think it would be on the 49ers or the Bears level, but, I mean, it should be up there. It just really depends on the corners. That's the only concern. It just depends on that.
Yeah, I think the key is just the cornerbacks, I mean, everyone talks about how we lost guys last year, but Xavier Rhodes is the worst-rated corner in the NFL last year, and Linval Joseph was deteriorating. He was falling off the cliff. You could see it. Just the regression was unbelievable. So, I mean, it comes down to the cornerback play. Can these guys take the next step? It's a young group. So, if that group can, take off, they got a depth in D line. The linebackers are solid. The safety should be solid. It has a chance to be, maybe a top 10 D. If everything works out well. But we'll see what happens.
All I have to say is offense, you probably can't read that. Offense wins games in 2020. So someone might want to let Coach Zimmer know that as disappointing sometimes the defense was last year, is they were still probably a good enough defense to win a Super Bowl. It's not like they gave up a ton of points. Yeah, they had some very frustrating moments against Matt Moore and, letting even Chase Daniels score points on you. And in the Seattle game when they kind of melted down. But, that defense, even in the San Francisco game, they got mauled. They got completely ran over by the run. And if San Francisco was more aggressive, they probably could have scored 40 on them. But, still, that game was still there for the taking because they couldn't score. Like I said last week, they have to score points this year. If their defense is a little bit better than last year, they should be able to win 11, 12 games again. And you're right, they're probably going to give up some yards in the passing game because they got inexperienced and unproven corners. But if Zimmer's been able to do what he's been able to do and keep teams from scoring a lot of points, then they should be able to win. But someone like Coach Zimmer know that offense is going to win games in 2020, scoring points, scoring touchdowns, not just getting 3 and outs.
Sorry, Jim. Zimmer's not listening to you.
No,
Zimmer ball.
Obviously not.
He's living in the 1980s.
Ben don't break, baby.
And Coach Zimmer's a really good football coach. I would never say he's a bad coach.
Oh wow!
He's a very good coach, right? You don't be in the NFL for 40 years and not be a good coach. he's a very good defensive coach. I still think though he thinks he can win with
defense.
Just
Defense
playing
all.
good defense. Like you gotta score points. You have to score touchdowns, and he has been a little bit more aggressive in terms of like yellow for it on 4th and 1s, not worrying about field position. But like you gotta score touchdowns to win. You gotta score points. Offense.
Yep.
Offense.
Yep. Well, I mean, I'll just leave it at this. Just Zimmer's philosophy: bend, don't break, and that's what he's known for, which is tough. But I mean, it works.
Prevent defense at end of games. So.
I'm just hoping if the offense can get to 20, we should win. That's all I'm hoping. If the offense gets
24.
20. I mean,
24.
Today. If the offense scores 3 touchdowns and field goal, we should win that game. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. This was the 4th podcast already. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys next week. Thank you.